behaving ourselves as a society, what we're doing to the planet, is not sustainable. The big asset owners of this world, for example, pension funds or insurance companies, have the possibility to drive change. I think that the asset management industry is a transmission mechanism of this growing feeling that we need to do something for the good. So when the large corporates think certain topics are important to change, then that collective firepower will drive change. The principles of responsible investments were drafted in 2006. The last few years, the number of signatories has risen dramatically, and we have now crossed 1,700 signatories, and they represent roughly $70 billion. When we talk about ESG or responsible investing, it's all about what do long-term investors want. And as a long-term investor, you want to know how viable a company is that you invest in. Well, when we look at the E, the environment, I think the jury is in on the fact that the climate is changing. So what you see is, for example, that companies who are using water, maybe in food production, when the raining patterns are changing because of climate change and you are owning land in an area where there's not enough rain anymore, you are severely impacted as a food producer. When you are in an area where you have facilities standing on the coast for your supply chain management, and when there is significant flooding and when that is repeatedly coming, you are impacted as a company by the physical effects of climate change. So the E becomes very relevant for an increasing number of corporations. And as we are understanding more about the environment and about the impact on companies, it becomes more important to take these typically non-financial indicators and use that in the selection of the companies you want to invest in. The amount of data that has become available for us on these non-financial criteria is increasing very rapidly. We all started with the CO2 debate. Why was that? It was the only metric that we had available to measure climate change. What is much more interesting is to measure for example, the physical effects of climate change. And once you have that data, your decisions are much more accurate than a CO2 footprint of a company. So that means that our screening of companies is of a higher transparency than it was before. So what we have done in discussions with our clients is to try and take it from a subjective level, try to add a huge amount of data, and we have built a piece of technology. We call this the ESG engine. So we can run all this data through the engine, take the client's portfolio and really screen them on a lot of different data points. So the power of the ESG engine is that we can take a subjective starting point and make it objective and really make it transparent for clients how they are invested. This transparency is driving the behavior in a good direction. Asset managers who don't integrate ESG in their complete investment process will find it very difficult to stay relevant in about 5 years' time.